You are hearing me okay though now, right? Okay, cool. All right, so I want to talk to you about the thing that I know at the end of the day is always the thing that is the biggest hurdle for people, and that's really kind of the inner game of success, right? It's we spend so much time focusing on things outside of us as solutions to the problems that we have in our business, right? We're stuck. We don't really have the results that we want. We're struggling at whatever level that might be. And we naturally look outside of ourselves, right? We want to find that next strategy. We want to find that better solution for social media. Maybe it's a different third-party tool, whatever it might be. We spend all of our time ourselves. And what we fail to realize is this. Our external circumstances, the results that we see in our business, in our life, will always be a reflection of our inner world, right? What's happening inside of our head is ultimately the driver that's behind the wheel. And for most of us, we're completely unconscious to the power that our things like our thoughts and our beliefs and the stories that we make up have over our results. And, I talk a lot and I teach a lot about this idea of identity. I touched on it at my speech in Las Vegas. And identity is really important to understand, because what a lot of us don't understand is that if we want to change our business and we want to change our life, it starts with us looking inside of ourselves and changing the way that we think and the things that we believe to be true about ourselves. And I'd like to talk to you about the power of thoughts, but I'd also like to really give you a tangible process to begin to change this in your life. And here's the first thing I want to share with you. I want to share with you my story. When I first got started in this profession, I was not an overnight success. I actually struggled mightily my first 2 or 3 years in this profession. Was really kind of languishing, and I was able to, after my first year of it being a complete disaster, I built a little bit of a team, and I thought I was on the right path. And I remember I hit this wall, right? And for me, I don't remember the exact number, but I think for me it was somewhere around, I had about 25 or 30 people on my team, which I thought was great. I mean, it was far better than where I was before. But I remember getting stuck at that level for what seemed like literally years. And I would have periods of time where I would start to see a little bit of success. I would think I was finally breaking through, only to either self-sabotage, or for some reason I would just struggle with being consistent and maintaining those results. And I don't know if anybody can relate to that. I see a bunch of people kind of nodding your head, so I know that this is resonating with you. And it used to really, if I'm honest, used to drive me crazy. It literally used to drive me crazy, because I would have these, and let me know if you ever have these conversations with yourself where you talk to yourself and you say, Bob, I would say, Bob, what's wrong with you? Like, what you're supposed to be doing. Why are you not doing it? Or why did you do that? Why are you not showing up? Like, I would have these conversations with myself, and I would really struggle to understand what the cause of this was. And what was really playing out for me that I wish I would have learned earlier in my days was that deep down inside, I truly did not believe that I had what it took to be successful. I had limiting beliefs about my own ability to succeed in a business like this. And here's the reason why, okay? And this is really important to understand. I was looking at my circumstances. I was looking at the fact that I didn't have a big team. I was looking at the fact that I didn't really have a big check. I was looking at the fact that I was really struggling in my life. I didn't have a lot of things that were visible signs of somebody that was a successful person or a great leader. And this is really critical. I want you, if you're taking notes, write this down. I was limiting what I thought possible for myself in the future based off of what I was seeing in front of me in the present. And this is a huge mistake that I made for years and that people make that keeps them stuck. We look at our lack of results. We go to things like social media. right? We start doing videos and posting, and we don't get all the likes and the views that we want. And we immediately look at that as proof that, see, we're not good enough, right? We start from this place that we're unworthy. And what winds up happening is we start to look outside of ourselves for validation of that worth. And when we don't see it, it creates this really vicious cycle for ourselves, right? And so I would look at my circumstances and I would go into like the new year. I remember for so many years I would do this. And my mentor, I just kind of shake my head when I think about it. His answer to everything for me was, just need to think bigger. You need to work harder. You need to think bigger. You need to do more meetings. You need to give more presentations, right? In the world we live in today, it would be do more videos or whatever that might be. His answer was always work harder, think bigger. And so I would kind of do that, but it would feel so inauthentic and so fake because deep down inside, I'm like, yeah, but I don't see any of this. And I remember I would create, like, I don't even know if do people still create dream boards? Do you do that? I mean, like, okay, like okay. So I would create these dream boards and it would be so funny. And I'd be like, I'm cutting out a picture of a Ferrari and I'm cutting out a picture of like a desert island. Like I'm going to buy a desert island someday. And I got like a picture of like a guy walking with like a supermodel on the beach. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to be, but meanwhile, I'm broke. I've got like 3 people on my team. I can't even get a customer. And here I'm thinking, I'm like, how's this going to happen? I don't see it, right? And that was the place that I was stuck in for so long. And here's the thing that I've learned over time that's completely changed my business and my life that I'd like to share with you today, that I only wish I would have been told the day I signed into a business like this. And here's what it is. You cannot base what you believe to be possible for yourself in the future based off of what you see in the present. And here's the reason why. Your current circumstances, right? The size of your team, the amount of your check every month in Plexus, the quality of your relationships or health or finances, like the reality of your life has what you see today has nothing to do with your future. What you see in front of you today is evidence of your past thoughts, beliefs, and stories about yourself. See, what you thought about yourself yesterday actually created the reality that you see today. And here's the sad trap that I was stuck in that, and I know a lot of you are probably stuck in the same trap. We keep limiting what we believe to be possible for our future based off of our current circumstances. And what we're literally doing is we are creating a future based off of our past. And this is the reason why we stay where we are. And here's the kind of the major aha moment that I had was that the starting point for me making a change was becoming aware of the thoughts and the stories and the beliefs that I had about myself. See, here's the interesting thing. One of my biggest problems in my first couple of years in this profession, where I mean, my first year, if you never heard my story, my first year, I didn't recruit a single person. I had 2 customers, me and my mom. Like, that was my success story. Like, you think you got it bad. Like, how would you like to be sitting in front of somebody pitching them a year into the business and saying, hey, here's my success story, right? Like, you think you got it bad. Well, that's where I was. But the biggest thing for me was inconsistency. And I bet a lot of you struggle with this as well. And here's an interesting thing that I've learned and what I believe where inconsistency comes from. Inconsistency stems from issues of worthiness. If you are inconsistent in your Plexus business, it is because deep down inside, you might not be aware of it, but I'm telling you, it's in there. You don't believe you deserve success, or you don't believe you're good enough, or you don't believe you are worthy of success. And here's why I know this is a fact. Think about it from the other side of the coin for a second. If you held the belief that you absolutely, with certainty deserved to be successful, if you truly believe that you were good enough, you knew that, right? It was not even negotiable. You would go out. Here's how you would show up in the world differently. You would go out every day and you would do the handful of things that you need to do to create results and build a successful business. Look, here's the beauty of this industry. It is not rocket science. There's only a handful of things that you can ever do that will create results for you. Go talk to people, share your products, share the business, follow up with them, present to them, answer their questions, train them, right? That's it. That's the whole business. Now you know that. You don't need me to tell you that. But let's go back to my example here. If you knew with absolute certainty you deserve success, here's what you would be doing. You would be showing up every day doing those handful of things. You would not care if people said yes or no. You wouldn't care if somebody laughed at you or told you it wasn't going to work or signed up and quit or took the products and said they didn't like them. You wouldn't care about any of that because you would know that it is only a matter of time before you see the success that you know that you deserve. Now, the question is this: why do we not do that? We know in the back of our minds, because we've seen other people have success, that if we just keep doing this thing long enough, that eventually we'll get what we want, but we can't ever bring ourselves to do it long enough to get the results because of this. Because we are looking outside of ourselves for validation of our worthiness. We're starting from a place of not being worthy, whether we realize it or not, and we're saying, well, if they say yes, then I'll feel like I'm good enough. Then I'll be happy. Or you're saying, well, if I post on Instagram today and I get enough likes, like there's always that threshold of what we feel is enough. And if we get over that, then we'll feel like we're on the right track. Like now we're doing well. And God forbid we post, nobody likes it. We delete it right away, right? Because we don't even want that thing to be out there. But here's what we do. We start and we stop. And we start and we stop. Because we don't see the results right away. And then we see that as proof that we're not good enough, or we say, we have all these stories. I must be doing something wrong. I'm not ready. Let me go watch another video. Let me go listen to another podcast. Let me keep getting ready to get ready, and let me never do anything. And let me just trick myself into thinking I'm in a business, but I'm not really an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs don't just consume, they produce. They show up every day. They do the hard work. Now, the question is, why do we not do that? Well, it's because we're starting from the wrong place. See, this is so important to understand, because until you wake up to this fact, you're going to stay in this very unpleasant, unfortunate, nasty cycle of being stuck. So let me share with you some insights that I've had that have changed my life in this area, because I lived in that place for years. Here's what you need to realize. First and foremost, it's this. The big change for me was simple. And here's the question that you need to ask yourself. Are you going to choose faith or fear? Because here's the thing that keeps you stuck is fear, right? It's the fear of the unknown, like your need to constantly be in control. Right? Like, I don't want to talk to that person because I don't know for certain how they're going to react or respond, right? I'm not in control. So what happens is we let fear drive our decisions. We feel fearful about doing something and we don't do it because of that. Now, here's the interesting thing about fear when we really objectively look at it. What is fear? All fear is it's you imagining a negative outcome to an action that you've not even taken. Look, this is literally what I did for years. I would have someone on my list and I would be like, oh, they would be a great prospect for my business. I should probably reach out to them. But then the second I thought that, here's what would happen. Fear would kick in and I would create 3 or 4 different scenarios of why I shouldn't reach out to them. Well, I haven't, what if I haven't talked to them in 10 years? I can't just reach out to them out of the blue about my business. What are they going to think of me? They're going to be so, angry at me. Or, I know so-and-so would be great, but, they're already a business owner, and I know they're really busy, and there's no way they wouldn't be interested in this. They already have kids, and I see that they probably want to spend more time. Right? We immediately create these scenarios, or we imagine these worst case outcomes, and then what do? We justify. See, I'm not going to do it. I just won't do that. I'll go find something. See, we have a terminology for this in our community. We call these red light stories. And there's this really interesting thing. It's called a creative interpretation. And inside of this concept lies the secret to success. The only difference between people that fail and those that succeed is they learn how to tell different stories. They learn how to because notice you're making up stories to justify you to either not do something, which is a red light, or you can make up a story that will actually empower you and give you the confidence and the inspiration to move forward and take action. That's called a green light. And I promise you, if you're stuck in your business right now, it's because you're doing this. You're creating red lights. See, but that's all fear is. But here's the interesting thing. Faith is just the opposite side of the same coin. All faith is imagining a positive outcome. That's a green light. And what's really interesting, and if you want to have fun with yourself, it's not that funny when you first start doing this, but pay attention to how you do this. The next time you feel fear, maybe it's somebody you want to prospect, and you immediately, that conversation starts happening. Pay attention to the conversation. Like, pay attention to what you're thinking, and maybe even write it down. Why do I not want to reach out to this person? And what you'll realize is that some of it might be based in facts, but most of it is just conjecture. It's something that you came up with. So when you do that, here's the question you have to ask yourself. What would the green light story be? What would a story that I could make up that would envision a positive outcome that would actually give me enough confidence and belief to move forward and do the thing? Like, a good example would be this. Let's go back to, let's use an imaginary person. Sue is on my contact list, and Sue has, let's say, 3 children. We used to work together at a previous job. We haven't spoken in 5 years, but we really used to love each other's company. We just fell out of touch. A red light story is, I can't reach out to Sue. I haven't talked to her in 5 years. She's going to be offended, and I know she has 3 kids. She's very busy. She would never want to do something like this, yada, yada, yada. Here's a green light story. I haven't talked to Sue in 5 years, and that's unfortunate, and I feel bad that I haven't reached out, but here's what else hasn't happened. She hasn't reached out to me either. So she's just as guilty as I am in this whole equation here. And you want to know what? I really miss Sue. I miss having her in my life. We used to be such great friends. I used to enjoy her company. What if I could reach back out to her? And the reason why I reach out is to share this business or this product that I believe in. And even if Sue said no, uninterested, what if that could at least reconnect us and we could become back in each other's lives? Or even what's better, what if she actually wanted to buy the products? What if she actually wanted to join my business? How fun would it be that Sue and I could work together again? She's the kind of person that I would love to actually to work with. And you want to know what? She has 3 kids, and I know she's busy, but guess what? What if I could offer her, I know she's working that job because I see her on Facebook, and I bet you she doesn't love that job. What if I could show her a way to replace that income and actually have more time to spend with her 3 kids? And here's the worst part. What if I don't reach out to Sue because of my red light story and my fear? And what if I actually run into her a year from now? And what if what if Plexus goes half as well as I think it might go in my life? And I see Sue at the grocery store, and she asks me how things are going, and I tell her, and she looks at me offended and says, "Why didn't you call me?" That's a green light story. Now, I promise you one thing. You creatively interpret Sue's situation that way, you have a 100 times better chance of actually taking the action. As a matter of fact, you will not, here's the thing. When you can learn how to build your faith and create different stories and look at what you do differently, it's not an opportunity anymore. It's a responsibility. You have a responsibility to share Plexus with the people that you know. It doesn't matter if they say yes or no. What matters is that you love and care enough about them that you at least offer it to them. See, I want you to notice something. These are two very different ways of thinking about what you do. But I also want you to realize that's all they are. It's just thinking. And here's the interesting thing about thoughts. All thoughts are interpretations. See, a thought, right? If you want to get even more granular here, all a thought is a sentence in your mind. It's just a series of words that you think that's in your mind. You have a thought, but it's just an interpretation of what's happening. Look, this is the reason I've shared this story a lot of times, and I think I first heard Tony Robbins share this story when I attended one of his events. He tells this story of two of twins, young boys, that they actually did a study on, and these two young boys grew up in a very, very bad environment, abusive household. Their father was a really bad alcoholic, in and out of jail his entire life. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to study the impact of environment on human behavior. And they followed these children throughout their lives, and decades later, they interviewed them. And here they found something interesting. They interviewed the one son who, probably not surprisingly to many, wound up following the path of his father, was an alcoholic, was in and out of jail. And they interviewed him and they said, "Why do you think you ended up the way that you did?" And his answer was very clear. "How could I not look at my father?" Now, the other brother, who, mind you, grew up in the same set of circumstances, grew up in the same household, subjected to all of the same things, went on to live a different life, had a family, was a very productive, contributing member of his community, successful in his career, never drank. They asked him the same question. "Why do you think you ended up the way that you did?" And his answer was the same. "How could I not look at my father?" What's really powerful about that is two different perspectives, two different interpretations of the same circumstances. And I'm sharing this with you because this is really where the solution to your problems is. You have to start paying attention to your thoughts. You have to understand that you have the power to change this. See, what winds up happening is, we see, someone tells us no, something doesn't go the way we want it to go. We interpret that as we're not good enough, we're not worthy, right? We don't deserve success. And then here's the problem. We think these same thoughts over and over. Now, for most of us, it's unconscious. We don't even really we don't even pay attention to what's happening. And those thoughts over time form beliefs. That's all a belief is. All a belief is something that you think is absolutely certain, but it's only what you think. And then what happens is we have these beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not that type of person. I'm not a people person. I'm shy. I'm introverted. We form all these beliefs about ourselves. We form this personality, which is really just a mask. And the mistake that we make is we believe our beliefs are actually who we are, and they are not. See, here's the secret to you changing things. You must change your beliefs. See, you can take on the belief that you are good enough. You can take on the belief that you do deserve success, that you are worthy. And if you start from that place and through, now this is not easy to do, right? It takes time. It's taken you your whole life to get as screwed up as you are today. It took me my whole life to get as screwed up as I was when I first started. You're not going to change it overnight, but you can change it. You can begin the process of getting better. You can wage that battle. And I'm telling you, awareness is the first step. If you just wake up to this, you're already ahead of 98% of other people who are going in their sleep. So the question is this: start thinking different thoughts, start thinking differently about yourself, and start from a place of worthiness. Now, you all heard me talk about this at convention, and I'll say this. You have to understand that it is not a mistake that you are here. It is not an accident. that you were presented with Plexus. It is not an accident that you said yes to Plexus. It is not a mistake that you've stayed in Plexus even long after other people have quit. And it is not an accident that you're on this Zoom tonight. You are being called to something so much bigger in your life. Your steps are being directed. Plexus is something that is so much bigger than just a way for you to make some extra money. It's so much bigger than that. And when you can begin to understand that there's a bigger purpose for your life, right? That Plexus is a vehicle to help you live out that purpose. And like I shared with you, it's understanding. See, if you believe that, if you believe there's a calling on your life, if you believe there's a bigger purpose, if you believe that there's someone out there calling you to something more, right? For me, it's God. I believe that network marketing for me was an assignment that God gave me to help me grow as a person by facing my fears. And in the process of doing that, here's the thing, I discovered things about myself that I never even knew existed. Before I got into network marketing, I was an introverted, shy person that didn't even like hearing their own voice. I didn't believe that I was ever going to achieve anything great with my life. I was a C student my whole life, right? Barely graduated college. Who am I to think that I could ever do anything great? But for some reason, I saw network marketing and I was drawn to it. For some reason, I went to that first meeting and my soul lit up in a way that it never had before. And even though I was like just punishing myself for years of not being successful and just like, why am I not like I would even say to myself, Bob, why don't you just quit? Like, it'd be easier to just quit, but to me, it just wasn't an option. I just felt pulled to this. It was a calling for me. And what I realize now looking back, and maybe some of you can relate to this, when you're in the middle of it, when you're in the middle of the challenge and the adversity and things aren't going the way that you want, and every single day you're forced to have to face these inner demons and all these limiting beliefs, like all your stuff that you don't like about yourself gets pulled to the surface as soon as you join this business. And you got to face that every day. And what I didn't realize is that was all part of the process, right? Going back to what I believe, looking back now, it's clear to me. You know, at that point in my business, in my career, God wasn't giving me what I wanted. He was giving me what I needed in order to become the person that would actually be able to sustain the success that I say that I wanted. Because here's the thing. I could give you $1 million right now in the biggest downline in Plexus. If you don't grow as a person along the process, if you didn't become the person that deserved that, you're not even going to keep that for very long. So what we eventually realize is this is all part of a much, much bigger story, right? Like the thing that makes me successful and the thing that makes people want to get on a Zoom and listen to me talk is because I had such a tough journey. Look, you're not going to respect me as much or enjoy me if I sit here and I'm like, yeah, you know, it wasn't really that hard for me. I hit the top rank of my company in my first 60 days. So I don't know what's wrong with all of you, right? That's not gonna inspire you. But the fact that I struggled for almost 10 years as an entrepreneur, like I'm a 16-year overnight success. How's that? Right? Like this is, but what I didn't understand is this is all part of my story now. Right? This struggle made me the person that I am today. But here's how I became that person. And this is the final thing I want to share with you, and then I'll kick it back to Andrea. I'm not sure if we want to take a couple questions here, but here's the thing that I'll share with you. Here's the key to starting this process. You got to change your thinking. You have to change the stories that you're telling yourself. You have to change the way you look at the things you do in your business. See, when you can start thinking bigger, like the one thing, like the mission of the work that I do. Like, I created this thing that we call the legacy leader movement. I know we've got a lot of legacy leaders on here tonight, right? I see some familiar faces, but the mission of the work that I do, like if there's one thing that I do through this idea of legacy leadership, if there's one small impact that I can make, and here's what I want to make. I want you to be proud of the fact that you are in this profession. I don't want you to be embarrassed, right? I see. Here's some of your problem. Some of your problem is you're a Plexus secret agent. Like you're in Plexus, but nobody knows you are, because God forbid you actually tell somebody, right? Now you think you're telling them, because what do? Well, I go to Facebook and I post, right? You got the post and pray strategy. You post, you put the post out there and you say, God, come on, just send them to me. Let them sign up. I need to send me a customer. Lord, please, Jesus, give me a new consultant. I need, like, that strategy is not going to work. You got to actually let people know. You got to pick up the phone. You got to put yourself out there, right? But here's the key. It starts with you really opening up your eyes to a bigger reason why you're here. See, because I believe that if you can get rooted in the foundation of purpose and meaning, and you're looking at this as more than just selling products, like you truly start realizing that there's a reason why you're here. Here's what happens. All of this stuff in your business that you hate doing right now, that you're like, man, I gotta prospect again. I gotta do another video. I gotta share my product. Here's what happens. All of those things go from things that you have to do to, when you step into a bigger purpose, they become things that you get to do. See, here's the conversation you need to have with yourself. Thank God that I get to share these products with people. Thank God that I get to share an opportunity with someone that can change their lives. And you want to know what? It's not going to be for everyone. And that's okay, because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about them, right? Thank God I get the prospect. Like, I literally wake up every day and I am so grateful for the fact that I get to do this. I am so grateful for the fact that 500 people would want to spend time on a Wednesday night and listen to me talk. Like, I am one of the most grateful people you will ever meet in your life. And I have learned to focus on the things that are happening in my life that I have to be appreciative of, and forget about the things that aren't. Because I'll tell you one thing. You want to accomplish big things in your life, you're going to have to put up with a bunch of junk. You're going to have to put up with a bunch of haters that want to knock you down. Some of them are going to have the same last name as you. Some of them are going to be in the cubicle next to you. Some of them are going to sleep in bed next to you at night. And you got to learn how to push past that, right? This is all a part of the bigger impact. You got to learn how to get through that, right? And then the final thing I'll share with you, I just shared like 10 final things with you, but I'm going to make it 11. Here's the final thing I want to share with you. You need to change the way you look at failure. See, here's the story I want you to start telling yourself about failure, because some of you are attributing you not being where you want to be to a fear of failure. I'm just afraid of failing. Well, that's a story, and that's an interpretation that is a red light. See, here's the story that I've learned to tell, and this is what I want you to adopt. When you take an action, one of two things happen. You either get the result that you want, which is great, right? We want someone to say yes. They've got to say yes eventually. So the yeses are nice. They build your business, okay? Or when you take an action, you get the result or the lesson that you need. And the lessons that you need only come through the nose. Failure is the greatest opportunity you will ever have to grow. Failure is the greatest opportunity you will ever have to truly get to know who you are. See, I've seen people lead when times are going well. It's easy to lead when things are going well. Everyone's a leader. Everyone's positive when things are going well. But what about when they're not going well? What about when the you-know-what hits the fan? What about when things take a turn? What about when you keep getting no's and you keep failing? Now, how are you showing up in your business? See, here's the thing I want you to understand. The yeses build your business. The no's build you. And the thing that's going to get you the success, as crazy as this sounds, it's so contradictory. The yeses are not going to get you what you want. You growing and evolving and developing as the person you need to be, that's going to get you what you want. So if you can adopt a healthy attitude towards failure, if you can understand that no doesn't mean I'm not worthy, no doesn't mean I'm not good enough, no has nothing to do with me. No actually is an opportunity for me to learn and grow. Look, I talk about this all the time. I believe that network marketing is a character development program with a compensation plan attached to it. The people that are at the top levels in this profession, and look, here's one of the things I like about your company. I look at guys like Alec and Tarl. Here's what I hear. Here's what I see. People of solid character. That is the reason why they've been successful. That is the reason why they've built the company that they've built. That is the reason why a lot of the leaders in your company are successful. But here's the interesting thing about character. Character is forged through the no's. So you have to embrace the no. You got to start going for the no. Like when you look at no's this way differently, you'll start looking to get them, because what you'll realize is the no's allow you to grow. And here's the secret. As you grow, you get more yeses. And the reason why you're stuck is because you're sitting on the sidelines trying to figure it out, trying to rationalize your way to success, just thinking, right? Hoping. I got news for you. Hope is not a really good business strategy. It really isn't. You got to do the work. You got to put in your time, and you got to start the process of becoming the person that you need to be. Now, I'll say this. I'll share this one thing in parting, and then if you're Andrea, if you're still on, I'll kick it back to you. One of the things that I really know people struggle with the most when it comes to like the taking action thing, and I think there's really no close second. It's really, it's recruiting and team building, right? It's sharing your business. It's recruiting. It's finding people that actually want to build the business. It's learning how to create more duplication. So I want to share with you, we actually have something happening next week, and many of you may already be familiar, and a lot of you probably have registered already. We're hosting, I am hosting a free 5-day recruiting challenge that we kind of jokingly call the Revive Your Downline Challenge, because I think that's kind of probably, I know for me, like my team was on life support for so many years. I needed, like, I imagine the electric paddles, you shock your team into life. But I'm going to be doing a 5-day challenge. It is for people of any level in their business, whether they're brand new, whether you're already a diamond. I promise you, over 5 days, I will be giving you something that will give you an entire new breath of life, of excitement and enthusiasm. But more than just inspiration, I'm going to give you strategy. I'm going to give you scripts. I'm going to give you approaches. I'm going to give you a different mindset. I'm going to give you a different tactic. I know a lot of you did the challenge back in February. This time around, it's going to be different. Like if you got any value, like especially that faith, fear conversation, and like this last conversation we had about taking action and growing, those things are going to be interwoven into the 5 days. And it's this time around, it's going to be much more action oriented. Every day, we're going to have people reaching out using scripts and approaches that I'm going to give them, simple, actionable things. But I promise you, if you do what I'm going to teach you, you are well on your way to creating the results that you want. And so I see this as a great opportunity for some of you. Promote it to your teams. Let me give them the kick in the butt they need to get excited and believe in themselves and get out there. And hey, listen, let's beat the summer slowdown that so often happens in this profession. Let's go into July and August with some momentum so you can close out the second half of the year strong. So the link, I'm going to put it in the chat here, is reviveyourdownline.com. reviveyourdownline.com. You can register there. The challenge begins on Monday, next Monday. We're doing it inside a private Facebook group. I think I just sent that to somebody privately. So I'm going to send it to everyone here. But we're doing it inside of a private Facebook group. And when you register, you'll get the link and all that other good stuff to participate. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And there's going to be tons of actionable, valuable content in there. So, okay, so that's all I got really there. I hope you all got some value out of that. Andrea, are you still on with us?
I am. Okay, so I just have to say, I'm sure that everybody on this call felt like you were talking to them when they were listening in. But I have to say, when you mentioned how could I not look at my father, that was so meaningful to me, because I had a horrible upbringing, and I always tell myself that I don't ever want my kids to grow up the way that I did. So I decided to take that leap and change my life and become an Emerald Ambassador. And
wow.
that was like, wow, my wow moment. So thank you for
Perfect
that.
example of what we're talking about there, right?
Yeah. And yeah, the struggle with your business can be real sometimes, but you know what? If you just don't let yourself stay stuck. I am so
Oh,
appreciative.
let me say, Andrew, let me say one quick thing because I forgot to mention this.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get on a roll and I don't even look at I don't even look at the notes that I had in front of me. But so it's important to understand what stuck is, and I talked about this at convention, but I want to say this again because it's so important. Stuck is a sign, and I know stuck is painful, but what stuck is this. Just like when your body, like physically, the biological function of hunger, when you need food for nourishment, your body lets you know that by cueing you in through hunger. Same with water. If you're dehydrated, your body tells you you're thirsty. You need water to survive, nourishment. Stuck is a spiritual function. Stuck is your soul's way of telling you that you've stopped growing in your life. If you feel stuck, it's because you're not growing anymore. And that's also where you lose fulfillment. One of the keys to truly feeling fulfilled by what you do in your life is you must be growing. And I want to go back to what we said earlier. We only grow through our failures. We only grow through the challenges. We only grow through taking action and through the no's. So don't look at stuck as a bad thing. Recognize stuck for what it is. It is a sign that there's another level for you to go to in your life, and it's not good enough for you to be where you are. Because there's a lot of other people in the world that are the same place you are, and they don't feel stuck because they're happy with where they are, but that's not good enough for you. So pay attention to that. Let that be a sign that there is more out there for you, and push forward with faith, not fear, and go out and get that.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on this call with us and taking your time out of your day to be on here with us. I know that there's a lot of people asking for the recording. If you guys, I guess the easiest way to grab that recording would be to follow me on Facebook, and I'll just post the recording on there with my YouTube. Andrea Carter on Facebook. Thank you so much, Bob, for coming on with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I don't tell anybody, but Plexus is my favorite company. So I love Plexus, and anytime I can add value to a group of ambassadors, I'm more than happy to do that. Thank you to all of you for your support and love. I appreciate it. I'm so grateful for it. And I hope to see a lot of you in the challenge next week when we kick that off as well. So thanks for having me, Andrea. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
See ya.